Welcome to this presentation about Park County residents' attitudes about growth and development. I am Kathy Foote. My family has lived in Montana for 4 generations. I grew up on a ranch south of Bozeman. Today, I am a resident of rural Park County and a member of the board of directors of Friends of Park County. The mission of Friends of Park County is promoting thoughtfully planned growth in order to protect and enhance Park County's vibrant communities, sustainable working lands, and healthy natural resources. Let's consider all the things we love about Park County. The magnificent Rocky Mountain landscape around us. The valleys with productive farms and ranches. The Yellowstone River. The opportunity for outdoor recreation just out our front doors. The wildlife that wander into our backyards. Livingston, a compact, handsome, small western city set in that glorious landscape that still has a lively and historic downtown. A rural lifestyle still connected to the traditions of the West. A place where our children can grow up together, affluent, middle class, and families of modest means in a safe, small town and rural environments. A place where no neighbor is a stranger and where we all pitch in to help each other in a crisis. But will the things we love remain in the face of rapid development? That is a big question because we have seen what happens to other places in our region where nothing has been done to plan for growth and manage development. New subdivisions marching across the valley floors. Luxury hobby ranches replacing working farms and ranches. Commercial sprawl that transforms unique, iconic communities and landscapes into the same kind of sprawl that makes every place in America look the same. Ugly. The loss of community connections as permanent residents are displaced by part-time recreational visitors whose roots are elsewhere. Homes and apartments become unaffordable, forcing working people to commute long distances to their jobs or to leave the area. Massive resort development. Streams and drinking water contaminated by septic systems as happened in Teton County, Wyoming. What do people in Park County think about the development that is happening now? Are most people here happy with the pace and pattern of development? Is it true that a majority of people who vote in Park County are opposed to any regulations that may be needed to manage development? Fortunately, we know a great deal about what voters in Park County and the state of Montana think about growth, development, and what we need to do about it, thanks to 3 scientific surveys of voters' opinions carried out in 2022. The first poll was conducted in February. It was commissioned by the Park County Environmental Council. It surveyed 300 randomly selected voters in Park County. The survey was carried out by New Bridge Strategy, an opinion research firm that serves many Republican candidates. It was followed in April 2022 by a poll commissioned by the University of Montana, carried out by New Bridge Strategy and the FM3. FM3 is a well-respected opinion research firm that has done a number of polls in Montana and regularly serves Democratic candidates. That poll surveyed the opinions of 500 Montana voters. In May 2022, FM3 carried out a poll of 306 voters in Park County, research commissioned by Friends of Park County. All three polls had an error margin of less than 6%. In this presentation, we will use these three colors, green, maroon, and blue, as well as abbreviations, PCEC, UM, and FPC, to identify the source of particular findings. Although the three polls were commissioned by different organizations and addressed different topics, they were very useful overlap with Friends of Park County's poll, which focused just on growth, development, and what to do about it. As you will see, there is a high level of consistency in key results between those polls, which gives us a great deal of confidence in the findings. In addition to the three polls of voters, the Park County Community Foundation carried out an online survey of opinions held by Park County residents, which addressed the issues the foundation has identified as part of its We Will project. This was not a scientific poll, but nonetheless, it too produced results that were consistent with the three polls. Friends of Park County's poll found that 62% of Park County voters believe our quality of life has gotten worse in the last few years, and only 11% think it has gotten better, which is very close to opinion of voters statewide. The opinion that the quality of life in Park County has declined is shared widely across different groups: long-term residents and newcomers, Republicans, independents, and Democrats, and people who live inside and outside of Livingston. 61% of the voters think growth and development are moving too fast. How do Park County and Montana voters rank the seriousness of the problems caused by growth and development? The three polls allowed Park County and Montana voters to rank the severity of the problems caused by rapid development. Not surprisingly, housing affordability was the top concern in all three polls. More than 2/3 of the respondents to the Park County Community Foundation survey and the Friends poll agreed that the proliferation of short-term rentals in the county was a serious problem. The loss of community character was a serious problem for at least 90% of voters in Park County, and very serious for between 1/2 and 3/4. Statewide, more than 3/4 of the voters believed loss of Montana's character was a serious problem. The higher seriousness in Friends poll probably reflects that our question on this point connected loss of character to high home prices. Development of second homes and vacation rentals in open space was a problem identified by 83% of the voters. Almost 2/3 regarded it as very or extremely serious in our poll. A similar question in the PCEC poll garnered almost identical results. The statewide poll showed that 85% of Montana voters considered sprawl onto ranches and open spaces as a serious issue, an extremely or very serious issue for a majority of them. This result was almost identical to the opinion of Park County voters. In the PCEC poll and in Friends poll, more than 2/3 of the persons responding to the PCEC poll and the Community Foundation survey agreed that a lack of planning to guide growth and development was a serious problem. The two polls of county voters and the Community Foundation survey showed that 90% or more, let me repeat that number, 90% or more of Park County residents and voters agreed on what needs to be protected in Park County and the goals and priorities that should guide future development. 96% of the respondents to the Park County Community Foundation survey agreed that it's important to preserve natural resources, water, air, etc., for future generations. Consistently with the Foundation survey, Friends research showed that preserving hunting grounds and fishing waters from development was important to an overwhelming 96% of Park County voters. 82% thought it was extremely or very important. 94% of the voters think it is important to prevent pollution of the Yellowstone River. It is extremely or very important for 79% of the voters. This finding was echoed in the response to PCEC's survey question about what factors made Park County an attractive place to live. 71% thought access to clean water and rivers was a very significant factor, and 90% thought it was very or somewhat significant. 93% of voters think it is important to create new homes and apartments affordable to working people, and the vast majority agree this is extremely or very important. Preserving working farms and ranches from development was important for 91% of Park County voters. Almost 80% agreed this goal was extremely or very important. 90% of Park County voters agreed it was important to protect critical wildlife habitat from development. Almost 3/4 believed this to be extremely or very important. The importance of protecting wildlife in the Friends poll is confirmed by how voters ranked wildlife as a significant factor for living in Park County in the PCEC poll. What do Park County voters think about specific action steps to manage development? It is easier to agree on problems and goals than on solutions, especially when it comes to regulations like zoning. So we were very interested to find out what Park County voters think about specific action steps to manage development. 75% of the voters support limiting the construction of new subdivisions to existing communities like Livingston, Gardner, and Clyde Park that have the water and sewer systems, roads and parks and schools needed for the subdivisions. Only 22% of the voters oppose that idea. This idea has wide support across many different groups of voters. More than 72% of Republicans, 76% of independents, and 75% of Democrats support this idea. 74% of people born and raised in Park County support this idea, while among voters who have lived in Park County for 10 years or less, exactly the same share, 74%, support this idea. Support for the idea is strong across all income groups. Households with members working in agriculture and tourism also strongly support limiting new subdivisions to existing communities. That is certainly true for my household. Support for this concept was virtually identical between people who live in Livingston and the people who live outside of Livingston. PCEC's poll found that almost 2/3 of the voters favored stronger requirements to regulate where industrial uses would be located, more than double the number of voters who opposed this idea. Voter opinions on regulating new commercial development was almost identical to their support for regulating industrial development. 3/4 of the voters support the idea of requiring voters to approve large luxury resort developments, and over half strongly support this idea. 73% of the voters support banning new septic systems within 500 yards of the Yellowstone River, and only 22% oppose that idea. 79% of county voters support prohibiting county officials from making decisions on real estate development issues if they have a direct financial interest in the outcome. 62% express strong support for this idea. That was a lot of data to absorb. We can boil it down to 3 simple conclusions. 1, the vast majority of the voters share a deep concern about development and the need to prevent development from damaging the best loved aspects of life in Park County. 2, 90% of the voters in Park County agree on many key goals, which need to be achieved and lands and resources to be conserved. 3, 60% to 75% of Park County voters support specific steps to regulate land development, steps that have high levels of support across party lines, from newcomers and old-timers, from people who live inside and live outside of Livingston, and all incomes. Voters who support these ideas outnumber opponents by the ratio of about 2-to-1 to 5-to-1. Given these high levels of public support, what should we do now? How do we turn these goals, priorities, and action steps into workable and fair regulations? Well, there are many examples how we do this that right here in Montana and more broadly around the West. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are good examples of resident-initiated zoning in different counties in Montana, including the Spring Hill zoning district next door in Gallatin County. That zoning district allows property owners to develop their property in ways that still preserve most of the land for farming, ranching, and wildlife. There are some counties in Montana where the county commissions have adopted effective agriculture zoning for most of their county. We are already making progress in Park County. Thanks to leadership provided by the Livingston Planning Board and the active participation by residents of Park County, Livingston has made the decision to change its pattern of development, to focus on compact, traditional development, and to make the best use of the land already inside the city limits, instead of sprawling outward. We have a choice to make. We can do nothing, and Livingston can become just another outer suburb of Bozeman, and the Paradise and Shields Valleys can turn into subdivisions, vacation rental homes, and commercial sprawl, just the same way it happened in Gallatin County and many other parts of Montana. Or we can make a choice about our future. Our polls show most voters are open to making the hard choice needed to keep Park County a place where we and our children will be proud to call home. Would you like to know more about regulations that balance conservation and development while honoring constitutional protections of property rights? Please visit our website, where you can get updates about our work and learn how you can help us keep Park County a place we are proud to call home. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching.